Hey everyone, it's the Arcane Glade, and today I'll be bringing to you a video on the Atronach birth sign and what to do if you play as the Atronach birth sign. At one point, this character that I have right now, the Atronach, my one and only Atronach, was my most played character, only being surpassed by my most recent one. In my opinion, it's really the only birth sign that changes how you play the game, because since you cannot regenerate Magicka, you have to adjust in several different ways. No other birth sign does this, to this extent at least. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to recommend are these Iliad wells right here. You can find these out in the wilderness or near Iliad ruins. In fact, you can find one just outside of the Imperial Prison sewer where you come out of at the beginning of the game. As I was saying, these can replenish your magicka. And actually, what I like to do to level up my magic skills, because as you level up your magic skills, the spells cost less to cast. What I like to do is spam spells to level up, and then once I run out of magicka to use the well, and then wait another 24 hours. If you consider this cheesing, then don't do it. If you consider it an exploit, then by all means you don't have to do this. However, if you're willing to just put in the grind and it's boring, but it's whatever, then go ahead and do it like I did. It helps out especially because you will be kind of weak due to your magicka not being able to regenerate early on. It's easy to get that first boost towards a lower cost of spells. The second tip I have for y'all are these Welkynd Stones. These can be found in Iliad Ruins. There are plenty to find in Vilverin, the one we just came from. As of right now, on this character, I have 221. These, when taken, fully restores your magicka. However, the ones that you can find on the ground do not respawn. Although there are hundreds of them in the game, use them wisely. Next up, we have potions. The first kinds of potions you can just find out in the world, these potions of sorcery. You can also buy them from almost any merchant that sells potions. If you want to make ones yourself, there are two ingredients that are at the novice level, meaning below level 25, and those are the flax seeds and the steel blue entaloma cap. And after level 25, you get access to the stinkhorn cap to make your own. Overall, because you can farm ingredients to make your own, this becomes pretty lucrative. As you level up your alchemy, the potions will get better and better and better. There are also plenty of them to just be found in the world and bought. Another tip, cut that out. The fourth tip I have for y'all is to get up your spell absorption. Although you already start off with 50, you can get it past 100. For example, I found this amulet of absorption, I believe is random loot. I also have this sorcerer's ring, which this might have been random loot, I don't remember. This gives 25 points of spell absorption and 25 points of magicka. On this character, there's the helmet of the mage, which is random loot. There are also the spell taker's greaves, which give 17 points. I believe these were also random loot as well. And finally, there's the spell drinker amulet. This is a part of the mages guild. It's a leveled item, so the higher level you are, the better the reward is, although I believe it maxes out at level 20 or 25. Those are enchantments. Moving on to spells, there are the spell absorption spells and mysticism. However, you need to be mysticism 75 to even be able to use these. However, since you're the Atronach, you start off with the spell absorption effect, so you can create your own. However, this still would require you to level up your mysticism to really get a benefit from it. To cap off spell absorption, there is also the Atronach stone out in the world. Here's its location. It is northeast of Kvatch. This gives the arcane willpower, which gives 30 points of spell absorption for 2 minutes. However, this is a greater power, so it can only be used once a day. Use it wisely. If you get your character past 100% spell absorption, although you will still not regenerate magicka, obviously, you will absorb every single spell that is cast against you. Final tip I will be giving y'all is the absorb magicka spell. This can either be used as a spell or as its own enchantment. I will cover how to use it as a spell first. You can first pick this up at the Anvil Mages Guild. Now when creating spells, it costs a disproportionate amount of magicka at the higher end of the magnitude. So for example here, a spell that would absorb 100 magicka costs 66 points. However, if we go down to 20, it only costs 8 magic. Doing some basic division, we can see that proportionally it's cheaper to remain at the lower end. However, that means you're going to have to cast this spell a lot more times. You're going to have to be more accurate with it. However, at the higher end, you run the risk of depleting your enemy's magicka faster, and some enemies do not have magicka pools, so you risk wasting a spell. For example, I have my own spell right here, which absorbs magicka 100 points for 1 second. It costs 66 magicka, and I am at restoration 100, Yep, restoration 100. However, it's up to you if you really don't care that much that you're spending a disproportionate amount of magicka like me. Just make sure not to deplete your enemy's magicka. Use it wisely. Do not waste it. For enchantments, it is very beneficial to keep the magnitude of the enchantment on the low side. Here we can see my super mace. It absorbs 5 points of magicka and it has 160 uses. So 5 times 160 is 800. That's 800 total magicka that I'm able to absorb. For this one, if we absorb 40 points of magicka, we only get 19 uses, and that's only 760 magicka that will be absorbed. So it's more efficient to use a lower magnitude enchantment. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. Hope you all enjoyed. Check out my other videos and make sure to subscribe and have fun on your Oblivion Atronach journey.